I love you, little bro. You're the best, Jacob. What's up, YouTube? Today we're going to be talking about what it looks like to be a freshman in high school and how to get through high school. All right, so first, my little brother, Jacob, he's going into ninth grade. I was like, man, I got to make him a video of 10 things that I wish I knew going into high school. So a little bit of advice just going into high school because I know it can be scary going into a new school. It can be scary going from the big fish in the pond to the little fish in the pond now. So I just want to make a video and just kind of give some successful tips to Jacob and to the rest of the viewers that are freshmen. Let's get it. All right, tip 0. Don't do drugs, don't do alcohol, and don't do vaping, all that stuff, because that's going to just mess you up for later in life. So that's a bonus tip at the beginning. Now let's get into the next tip. So the first tip for surviving high school is getting to know if God is real. Okay? I'm not talking about which God, all that. You have all of high school, you have all of life to figure that out. But a lot of people don't figure out, man, is there even a possibility that God exists? And I think this is so important because if you believe that God exists or don't believe that God exists, that's going to affect how you work and how you move and how you interact with other people. So I think this is the very beginning step. So I encourage you to read the Bible, investigate other religions, see what is what, because I heard this quote and I thought it was amazing. So if you live life thinking that God does not exist, then you die and find out he does exist, you're spending all eternity in hell. But if you live your life believing that God does exist and then find out when you die that he doesn't exist, you're just going in the ground like everyone else. And what are the possible lives that you could have done? If you lived life thinking that God did not exist, you're not going to have morals. Maybe you are, but maybe you're not. You're going to make lots of mistakes, and you're going to just live life without a purpose, just feeling unfulfilled. And then you're going to die and then spend all eternity in hell. But if you live your life thinking God does exist and then find out he doesn't, you're going to live your life fulfilling like you're living it for a purpose. You're going to live it to the fullest, helping other people, being generous because you think that God does exist. So I just don't see how you could lose thinking God exists. And if he does exist and there is eternity, then you're in heaven and let's go. Boom. So that's why I really encourage, number 1, dive into your faith, really make it your own, really figure out what do I believe, and it's going to clear up paths for so much what you're going to do later on in life. Tip number 2, when you're in your classes, I took the first week to do this because I really don't like talking to people, but get 2 different people's phone numbers, people who don't even know each other. This way, if one of them isn't in class but the other one is and you miss class, then you can contact them and say, hey, what did I miss? Can you give me the notes? And you guys can collaborate on projects and stuff. And the reason it needs to be 2 people who don't know each other, who aren't friends, is because if one day the 2 people that are friends and you got their phone number that are friends, they decide to go to the beach or something to skip class and you're sick that day, then you don't have the notes at all. And it's tough, especially if you have to partner up and then they're already friends and then you get left out and then you're stuck with someone who you've never talked to. Great opportunity to meet someone, but then it just feels like you're on the ropes. And I just feel like you diversify yourself. And for me, talking to people takes a lot of energy. So I really got my 2 people just next to me who looked like they were doing their work, and then that was it, and we rolled from there. All right, tip number 3, choose your friends wisely. Why is this important? Because whoever you hang out with is going to affect how you are. Now, I know this is an age where, at least for myself, I don't know about you guys, I didn't really like listening to my parents, and I knew more than them, obviously, because I had more knowledge. I mean, me turning 15, I can drive with them in the car. I already knew more than them. So with that, friends were my biggest. I would ask them for advice. I'd be like, oh, what do you think about this? What do you think about that? And then they'd be the ones saying, hey, I think this is a good idea or I think this is a bad idea. And if you have friends that are good morals, good character, you're going to be following that pursuit. If you have friends that are like, man, we should throw food in the lunchroom or we should like spray paint or vandalize people or take vaping, drinking, smoking, you're going to follow down that path. Even if you went into high school thinking one way, you will eventually fall down that path. And that's just not the path you want to go down. and they can be your biggest supporters or your biggest downfall. So make sure you got your biggest supporters at your back. Tip number 4. This one's going to be a little controversial, but don't date. Okay? And here's why. I know the statistic is less than 2% of people who are high school sweethearts actually get married. And here's another thing. When people say, Jimmy, I'm going to date so then I learn how to get married, here's the thing. You're dating for marriage. So if you don't raise that standard to be someone that you could potentially marry, you're going to date and get hurt. And that's what I'm going to say is you're going to get hurt. And it's not going to last, and it's not going to be worth it. Instead, if you're a guy, take your mom out on a date. Let's go. You were going to be spending $20 anyways. Just spend it with your mom. She's your ride there anyways because you probably can't drive. So boom, that's a double whammy. If you're with your dad and you're a girl, take your dad on a date. He's going to pay anyways. Free food for you, and you get to be more and spend more and grow into your relationship with your parents. And I think that's so crucial. I know even from myself, being with my parents was hard. And again, I knew everything. So whatever they were telling me, it just was a lot of going in one ear, going out the other, and stuff like that. But really investing in your relationship with your family is so important. So I think just throughout all of high school, even senior year, you're going to colleges and you're probably going to be split away. And I know being in college, I've had friends that have went to college and then they had nasty breakups because it's hard. It's possible, but it's really hard. And it's just better to invest in yourself and in your family. Another thing, if you date in high school, you're not investing in yourself anymore. You're also investing in someone else. And you have to be careful who you invest in because a lot of people just start to date because of looks. And that's not the reason you want to date because you will end up hurt. You will end up heartbroken, all these negative things. And you won't be investing in yourself. Speaking of investing in yourself, that brings us to tip number 5. Get off your phone and find out what you like. How are you supposed to find someone you like if you don't even know what you like? I know think you have an idea of what you like, but think about it. There's millions of things to do in the world, and maybe you've been exposed to 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20 years worth of things. There's so many more things to do. There's sports that you could try. There's arts and crafts that you could try, like painting. I just found out about 3D printing, and I'm going to have to give that a shot. So look forward to that in a future video, but there's so many different things, and I didn't even find out about that until this year, and I'm almost 20, so there's lots of things that you haven't done. Sports, arts and crafts, talking to people, networking was even a new term that I found out these past couple years. Like, there's a lot of things that you haven't learned about life and about yourself, and adding another person makes it even more difficult, and you're going to start learning about them as well when you really should be learning about yourself and learning, man, what makes me tick, what makes me motivated, what do I want to do? If I ask you what do you want to do with your life, you're going to have an answer or you're not. It's okay. This is the time to start learning what you want to do, and it's the time to start investing, and then you'll have a successful high school career. Number 6, a good way to start learning about what you like and learning about the people who kind of go there is to join clubs on campus. So make sure you get a part of some of your clubs. If you want to do a Christian club, I know FCA, First Priority, stuff like that. Young Life, there's a bunch of Christian clubs on campus for your high school. There's also environmental club, I remember that. They even have key clubs. I know at my school we had a lettuce club. There's literally clubs for every interest. And if there's not a club for your interest, it's so easy. You just get a sponsor, which is really just a teacher that will allow you to be in their room. And then you'll find more like-minded people and get that all set up. And it's a little bit of paperwork, but it's so worth it when you start making connections and you start meeting people that you wouldn't have otherwise. All right, tip number 7 is in your classes, always try your hardest. I had my little sister, she was a freshman last year, and I was telling her, teachers in high school is so much easier than college because all they look for is effort. If you provide effort, you can pass the class with a C. I am so confident in that. You just have to provide effort at your highest quality, and I don't mean plugging into ChatGPT and just copy and pasting. That's not effort. Like putting in your well thought effort, collaborating it with friends, all that stuff. I believe if you do that, and you fail every test, it's going to be well worth it because that's what they look for. So just putting in all your effort and then turning things in on time. Oh my gosh, on time is so key. It's such easy points that you're missing if you turn it in a day late. I know my teachers would, some would do up to 50% off a day late, and then 3 days late, they don't even accept it. Or some would do like 10% each day. Either way, that's kind of a lot of credit that will add up over time. And if you did every assignment a day late and your teacher took off 10% every day, so every assignment you turned in 1 day late, so that's 10% every assignment. Let's say you got perfect scores on all of them. The highest you can get is a 90 on them, on all your assignments. So in the class, if you don't do good on the exams, the highest you can get is a 90 in the class, which you're already putting yourself at a disadvantage because 90 out of 100 is the bottom of an A. So the highest you can get really is a B. So I just always say work your hardest. Also, be nice to your teachers. They work hard, and even if it seems like they're not working hard or they're not being nice, it's up to you to react nicely. And most of the time, I've found that if you're just nice and you made a mistake, even if the teacher made a mistake and you just take fault for it, if you take responsibility, the teacher will see that character in you, and end up giving you points anyways. So if you just talk to them about a concern instead of blaming them, maybe your grade in the class isn't where you want it to be or isn't where it shouldn't be, and you just go blaming the teacher and you're like, you messed up. The teacher's gonna be like, I didn't mess up, because they go on the defensive. But if you go like, hey, can I talk to you about my grade, and then say, hey, I thought I did really good and you only gave me a 60 out of 100, then maybe relook at it and be like, oh, I should have given you a 90 out of 100 and I just messed up. And then you can be like, oh, okay, thank you. And then you got the points and there's no arguing. But if you go, you gave me a 60 and I should have got a 90, then the teacher will be like, no, I graded it fairly. Here's why. And then they'll just mark you down all the way. And so in my experience, I've just found be nice to your teachers. Also, being nice to your teacher is rewarding because there's scholarships that require reference letters, and you need a teacher or some sort of employment to get those reference letters. And a teacher is a nice, easy way that, man, they've seen you for a year, they've seen you work, so they can write a lot of nice things. And a lot of them had to write a lot of essays to be a teacher, so they're basically pros at it. Now, this leads me to tip number 8. On the flip side, don't get too stressed about school. There's going to be lots of assignments, there's going to be lots of homework thrown at you, lots of classwork, but at the end of the day, if you don't turn in one assignment or you tried your hardest and you couldn't get to this assignment and whatnot, the sun will rise the next day. You're still going to go to school, you're going to see the teacher, you'll be able to talk to them. It's not that big of a deal. It becomes a big deal when it becomes a habit and it's from you playing video games or you just going out late and talking to friends, you scrolling TikTok, YouTube shorts, which by the way, I suggest you delete because it's a big distraction, not worth the time, but that's a whole separate video. And then at the end of the day, if you miss one of those assignments, it's okay. But if it's a habit, that's where it becomes dangerous and we gotta break that habit. All right, 9, don't gossip. Bring people up. Don't be the person that is always in on the drama. There's already so much drama. We're all teenagers. We're all figuring out our lives. We're going to mess up. Mess ups are okay. In fact, the keys to success is through the mess up. So if you learn from your mistakes instead of blasting other people's to cover up your mistakes, you're going to go so much farther in high school, through college, in life in general. So definitely don't gossip. Don't be a part of that drama. It's going to be so enticing, and that FOMO is going to be real. FOMO stands for fear of missing out. It's going to be so real, but it's so worth it to just kind of mind your own business, stay in your own lane, just try to bring people up and get great friends just around you, and it's going to be so much better than any drama that you could have been a part of. Number 10, be yourself. I know it's so cliche, and it's just a time where you can get to learn who you are and just own it. Be yourself. Don't try to be like other people. I mean, through high school, I know for myself, I wore just athletic t-shirts and athletic shorts, and people laughed at me for it. And I was like, okay, that's fine, because it's not the style, but I did not care. I just went for it. I always had sports after school or sports in the morning, so it just helped me get into the routine. It was comfortable. I didn't need to be with the new bougie things. I didn't need to spend money on a lot of things. It was real easy just to get athletic stuff, and then that way I didn't need to change after school to into gym clothes. I already had them. So just be yourself, whether that's clothing or the way you do things, your morals, all that stuff. Be yourself. That's really, I know it's so hard to do in our society, but I think it's so worth it. Make wise choices. Don't be doing the stuff that you shouldn't be doing. It's not cool. I know peer pressure is a real big influence in high school. It's a big influence everywhere. That's why people make stupid decisions. But really, make wise choices, get those good friends. And lastly, listen to your parents and friends. I know listening to your parents is hard, but they have gone through some sort of high school or some sort of stage in your life that you're in. Maybe not with social media, maybe it looked different, but at the end of the day, they're rooting for you. They want you to win. So your parents will stick by you and they're going to be your number one supporter. So make sure you listen to them and friends. Once you got that great group of friends, don't leave it. Be intentional. Invite people to go grab lunch and go play a sport. I mean, go to a park, really anything. Just really invest in those friendships, those relationships with family members, all of it, and just be kind. All right, love y'all. See ya. Have a great 4 years and good luck to you. So I texted some of my friends from high school and I just asked them, hey, I'm doing a video and what is some advice? So my friend Riley, he said his advice is nobody cares as much as you think. So just be yourself. And that's so true. People really don't. And my buddy Ephraim, he said, high school isn't the real world. If you are successful, people will try and get in your way. And video everything. So making sure you video that progress you have. My buddy Michael, he said, make sure you get to know your guidance counselors. They will help you throughout high school, anything school related, and then even on to college, putting in a good word for a school that you want. And they kind of have done it for a couple years, so they know the gist of it. So getting to know your guidance counselors.